All right, let's talk about one of the biggest updates to hit the note-taking app Obsidian in a long time. It's a new core plugin called Bases, and it is a total game changer. Seriously, it's completely changing how people manage projects by turning what used to be a sea of separate notes into one powerful, smart database.
Okay, so here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at the big problem Bases is trying to solve. Then we'll get into what the plugin actually is and, the secret sauce that makes it tick. After that, we're going to walk through a really simple way to build your own system, see how to make these incredible dynamic dashboards, and then zoom out and see how this puts Obsidian on the map in a whole new way.
If you've used Obsidian for a while, you know it's amazing for getting ideas down and linking your thoughts. But trying to build a real, solid project management system inside it, that's always felt like a bit of a puzzle. It's easy to write things down, but trying to manage a whole workflow often felt like you were fighting the system. And this slide just nails the problem perfectly. The dream, right, was to have a system that was super powerful and flexible, but also private and future-proof, because it's all just plain text files. The reality, though, it often meant cobbling together a bunch of community plugins, which ended up being complex, kind of clunky, and honestly, pretty fragile. This quote from Mike Schmitz is just chef's kiss. It captures the pain so many people felt. He had his whole workflow built around a plugin called Projects, and then one day, poof, it was discontinued. His system was broken. It's the perfect example of the risk you take with third-party tools, and it's exactly why people started desperately looking for an official solution.
Well, thankfully, that search is over. The Obsidian developers themselves have stepped up and delivered the answer everyone was waiting for, a brand new core plugin called Bases.
So what is it exactly? Well, think of Bases as a built-in feature that lets you treat a folder of notes like a real database. You can see everything in clean tables or on visual cardboards. You can sort, filter, and edit stuff all at once. And the most important part? It's a core plugin, which means it's stable, it's official, and it's here to stay.
And this is a huge deal. What this really means is that all that awesome database functionality that people in apps like Notion have loved for years, it's now right inside Obsidian. You can add new notes directly into a table. It's all there. You get all that power, but in Obsidian's super fast, private, local-first world. So how does it all work? Is it some kind of dark magic? Nope. It's actually powered by something beautifully simple that a lot of Obsidian users already know and use: note properties. And what's really cool is just how simple this whole process is. You just take a normal note, you add some metadata or properties at the very top, and boom. Base instantly sees that information and can pull it all together into a structured table for you. It's that easy.
Okay, so we know what it is and how it works. But how do you actually build a full-blown project management system with it? Well, the approach is surprisingly elegant. Let's look at a really clean framework you can steal.
This idea from the creator Wanderloots is just brilliant. You can build an entire hierarchy for your projects using just a single property. Let's call it kind. So, a big project gets kind project. A major part of that project is an epic. A specific video or article you're creating is a story. And then a little to-do item, that's a task. Simple, right?
Now, once you have that kind property set up on your notes, this is where the real power kicks in. You create different views. You start with one master base that shows you everything. Then you just duplicate it and add a simple filter. So you can have one view that shows you only your tasks. Another view shows only your high-level projects. You can create a custom dashboard for literally every part of your workflow. But this whole thing becomes a complete game changer when you realize you're not just stuck looking at this stuff in a separate file. No, you can actually embed these live, filtered views directly inside any of your other notes. So, think about a typical project note. It's usually a static document, right? It has your goals, your research, maybe an outline. If you wanted to see the status of all your tasks, you'd have to click away and go look somewhere else. But by embedding a base view right into that project note, it completely transforms. All of a sudden, that simple note is now a live, breathing dashboard that automatically pulls in and shows you every single task, every epic, everything related to that specific project. It's always up to date, and it's right where you're doing the work. And the system gets even smarter because it also supports formulas. So you can, for example, have it automatically calculate how many days are left until a task is due. And that number will just update itself every single day. Pretty cool. So when you pull all of this together,
The native databases, the embeddable views, the formulas. Obsidian isn't just a note-taking app anymore. It becomes a true powerhouse. It's now a serious contender, going head-to-head with some of the biggest names in the productivity game.
And this right here shows you the fundamental difference. Because even though Obsidian now has that Notion-like database power, it has not sacrificed its core principles. Your data is still local on your machine, not on some company's cloud server. It's still in simple, plain text files, not a locked-in proprietary format. And since it's not waiting on the internet, it is blazing fast. You own your data, period. So let's just wrap it all up. Bases finally solves a huge problem with an official, stable tool that's built on the simple idea of note properties. Using a simple framework like that kind property, you can build dynamic dashboards right inside your notes. It really is the best of both worlds. You get all the database power you could want, but with all the speed, privacy, and control of a local-first app.
With Bases, the line between a simple text file and a complex interactive system has pretty much disappeared. Your notes aren't just static anymore. They're the living, breathing building blocks of a database that you control completely. So the only real question left is, what are you going to build with it?